gotta worry for the both of us. Put you in the driver's seat. Don't gotta hurry and I need love.
We are in Croatia. Welcome. You guys are now in Croatia with me, so get excited. We're sailing. Well, not really sailing, like I say sailing, but the boat has a motor. It's more of a yacht than a sailboat, let's be real. We're boating around Croatia for the next 7 days, and we're hitting up like 5 different islands. When we decided we wanted to come to Croatia, I was between doing it myself and like picking an island or two, getting an Airbnb, or doing this boat trip. It's through a service, Sail Croatia. I've never done a group trip like this before. I usually DIY it, but it was the best way to do it, especially the being on the boat part. The daily routine is that the boat would kick off from whatever dock we were on at like 7 a.m., start moving. At around 11, we'd stop for a swim stop. Some of the most beautiful locations. We would just stop, swim, hang out, jump off the top. I am the least graceful jumper. I'm such a screamer. You have to listen to this. You know, I try my best. We're on our way to drive buggies
so excited.
in Croatia to a beach bar. I don't even drive my car at home.
It's Caroline's driving debut.
After the swim stop, we'd have lunch on the boat, then keep driving a bit until about 2 p.m. when we docked at the new island. At that point, we either had like an excursion activity. Today in Korčula, we took buggies and drove through the vineyard and ended up at this beach bar. It was so beautiful. It was so much fun. Clearly, as you could tell from our video. And then we would have the rest of the afternoon and night to explore whatever island we were on and just hang out. This is the first stop on a 2.5-week trip for Catherine and I. We're doing this week in Croatia, then we're going to London to visit one of our best friends for a few days, and then we're finishing it off with a surf camp in Portugal. For this leg, we're meeting up with Morgan Venn, who is also a creator on Instagram and YouTube. Her travel vlogs on YouTube are awesome if you haven't gone and watched. We've been social media friends for a while now. She grew up in Singapore, and Catherine and I grew up in Hong Kong. We all post in the health and wellness space on Instagram, and so we kind of made those connections, like, oh my god, we both grew up in Asia. We had the most incredible week with her. Instant friendship vibes. So a quick shout out if you guys don't already follow her. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you'd love her stuff too, but this was so fun. I had to give you guys some context into who I'm traveling with and what we're doing here. When we got to Dubrovnik, we took a couple miles walk just to get some activity in. I feel like being on the boat, you know, I wasn't moving that much until we would get off and there was somewhere to walk to or somewhere to hang out. So we decided to walk on our way to the beach bar, Buza Bar, which is probably one of the coolest spots we went to in all of Croatia. It definitely made Dubrovnik one of the most special spots. Essentially, it's this bar built in to the side of a cliff, and you have to walk through the old city walls to get there. So it's like a cool, somewhat historic walk to even get to this beach bar. But then when you get there, it's totally outdoors. You guys know I love literally anything outside, and you can cliff jump right there. You can watch other people cliff jump if you don't want to. Of course, we jumped, and then there wasn't even space like at the actual outdoor tables for us to sit. So we just sat cliffside, had some wine, had some beer, had some fun. It was honestly the best seats in the house. So that is like one of the top spots I would recommend in Croatia, as was this dinner location. This day was so good. This day just kept on going. A couple of my best friends from Boston had taken a little couples trip to Croatia the week before, and they suggested this restaurant in Dubrovnik, Konoba Dubrava, so we had to go because if they said it was the best, it was going to be the best. And what's special about it is they cook everything in this authentic way under an iron bell, so it slow cooks for 3 hours. There was octopus, pork, lamb, beef, and all of these potatoes, but we had to like email them through their website beforehand to tell them what we wanted so that they could estimate, but we had no problem emailing them the day of and getting a reservation that night. It was incredible. Like, we all stuffed ourselves. It was the best food I ate on the whole trip, so I would highly recommend if you're in Dubrovnik. That night we went out to Club Revelin. This was the first time going out in Croatia for me. I finally rallied after a few nights. I made it out. You know, it was just a typical dance club, nothing way too special, but it was definitely super popular, so if you want some nightlife in Dubrovnik, I would recommend. But if you want a beach in Dubrovnik, which is typically more my vibe, though you can do both, clearly I did both, this was one of the most beautiful beaches like I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen so many beaches in my life, so that's saying something. We had to walk down some stairs to get here, and the entire walk down you just see the beach and how beautiful it is. There was also a little restaurant right there. However, after we started eating, Morgan and I both suddenly got very red and dizzy. Heat stroke. We're heading back to the boat now, earlier than expected, but I will say, heat stroke and all, that was one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen in my life. So, it was worth this, perhaps.
It was worth the heat stroke.
No worries though, because after a 2-hour nap, a cold shower, and sweating it out back on the boat, we both woke up good as new and we rallied for another night out because Dubrovnik was just so much fun. Like, I was down to do anything in Dubrovnik. I think it was probably my favorite island of everywhere we went.
You guys on the works?
Sing
To the beat.
We're breaking free.
There's on a star in heaven that we can.
And after a couple of very active days, this day 5 in Mljet was probably exactly what I needed. It was so much more calm. There really isn't anything on the island of Mljet other than the national park. So this day was just swim stop, national park, biking around, absolute vibes. When we got this swim stop, we saw this little island just a little ways out, and I was like, I have to swim there, I have to get there. Because, like, what is the story behind this? It's just a random little spot with stairs built in. Like, what is this? Who did that? I had to get there. It was very cool. The water was so blue. It was, like, one of the most beautiful swim stops we had, and just lots of fun swimming around. Then we hit up the national park, though, which was very different because we've been ocean, and this national park is a lake. We got some bikes, we biked around. It was good to just like be out in nature, have a peaceful moment, and just bike through this beautiful lake. We stopped, we swam around in the lake, and it was definitely one of the most peaceful, quiet, secluded spots in all of Croatia that we saw. And a final stop in Makarska. I feel like after 6 days in a bunch of different islands, they all start to be kind of similar. So Makarska was super nice, but it was, I don't want to say nothing special, because it was obviously very special, but it was similar to others, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of all blended together. I had a lot of fun at Makarska, though, I've got to tell you. Randomly, it was a national holiday on the day we went, so there was a parade going on, there were fireworks. We also, one of my favorite parts of the whole trip, or like any trip, is just getting to know local people or whoever is like working there and around. So I definitely befriended a lot of the staff on the boat. One staff member in particular, one of the servers, we ended up going to coffee with him in Makarska, and it was just such a sweet time. He's originally from Montenegro, so he was telling us about Montenegro. He has a 13-year-old daughter. But it was super special just hanging out and getting to know him, and then we headed back to the boat for the end of the night and the fireworks.